Значит, первое. Не должно быть транспортной системы на Украине. Не должно быть тоннеля под Карпатами, не должно быть мостов через Днепр и так далее. И, кстати говоря, не должно быть электричества. Вот замечательная банда, повторюсь, воров и убийц. Впереди у нас, как нам ликвидировать экономику Прибалтики, чтобы они успокоились и перестали нам, так сказать, досаждать.
Поэтому, когда НАТО собирается, чтобы сказать, что мы их враг, это вы. Это вы.
Cut off electricity to Ukraine, blow up bridges, destroy the economy of the Baltic, stop energy exports to the West. This is Russian television for you. Russian propaganda network. These commentators want Moscow to unleash its fury. What has made them so angry? NATO's expansion. 2 more countries are joining the NATO. The decks have been cleared, and this is a major political defeat for Vladimir Putin. His friend, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has turned. Turkey has dropped its objections to NATO expansion. Finland and Sweden are set to be part of this military alliance, and it's happening in record time. Putin attacked Ukraine to send a message to NATO. He wanted to stop its expansion. He has accelerated it. He's given NATO a new life and purpose. So Russian propagandists are crying war. They want an all-out attack. Will they get their wish? On Gravitas tonight, that's what we'll discuss. Yesterday's developments will go down in history books. Finland and Sweden have got their wish. They have been invited to join the NATO. They applied to join this military alliance in the month of May. We are still in June. Their appeal was held up by Turkey. You see, NATO has 30 member countries. Each one has a veto. So Finland and Sweden need a yes vote from each member to join the NATO. That is the rule. Their big hurdle was Turkey. Since day one, Turkey refused to back their bids. But yesterday, Recep Tayyip Erdogan dropped his objections.
In light of the progress we have made together, Turkey has agreed to support Finland and Sweden joining NATO. I want to thank President Erdogan, President Niinistö, and Prime Minister Andersson for the constructive spirit of today's talks.
So what changed there? Not too long ago, Turkey was dead set against NATO expansion. It accused Finland and Sweden of protecting militants. What made Erdogan change his mind? An offer he could not refuse. The NATO summit, is underway in Madrid. Yesterday, leaders of Finland and Sweden had a meeting with Erdogan on the sidelines. Also present was NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg. This meeting lasted for 4 hours. There were intense negotiations, and Erdogan walked away with a winning deal. Let's tell you what he got. Sweden and Finland had an arms embargo on Turkey. They will lift it. They will also end support to the Kurdistan Workers' Party. This group is also known as the PKK. Turkey sees them as terrorists. Even the US and the EU have designated the PKK as a terrorist organization. Finland and Sweden supported them. Now they will not. Then we come to the Gulenist movement, the groups led by Turkish preacher Fethullah Gulen. Erdogan blames him for an attempted coup in 2016. Finland and Sweden have agreed to end their support to the Gulenists too. And that's not all. Turkey, Finland and Sweden will expand anti-terrorism cooperation. European nations will extradite terror suspects to Turkey. So Erdogan has basically managed to tick all the boxes. Weapons, Kurds, Gulenists, terror suspects. He's had his way with everything. The Europeans have made significant concessions. The Finnish foreign minister said the deal was reached during a coffee break.
It was 4 hours meeting, of course, and very complicated in the beginning, and all parties repeated their own positions and how they see the situation. And then after 2 hours we felt that it's maybe not moving at all. And then we had a coffee break, and as always during the coffee break, great ideas come up, and then in the end, towards the end of the meeting, it was easier to come to the conclusion.
Sounds like each side got what they wanted. For Erdogan, this is not just a foreign policy win. It will also help him in domestic politics, and we'll tell you about it in a bit. For the moment, let's focus on what NATO got. NATO has 2 new allies in the fight against Russia, Finland and Sweden. They meet all the requirements. They're democracies, They're reliable partners, and most importantly, they add to NATO's firepower. Let me tell you how. Finland and Sweden together have more than 33,000 soldiers, plus more than 230,000 reserve troops. What about weapons? Finland and Sweden have more than 800 tanks, more than 200 combat aircraft, and 170 patrol and coastal vessels. Separately, Sweden has 5 submarines. There are other advantages too. Finnish and Swedish forces conduct drills with NATO troops. Most of their equipment is compatible with what NATO forces have. So there is interoperability too. Long story short, the stage is set for their entry into NATO, and it looks like a win-win deal for all sides. What happens next? Usually it takes a year for NATO to add new members, but the applications of Finland and Sweden will be fast-tracked. Their induction is expected soon. Both nations also work with European partners to counter Russian disinformation. They're being seen as perfect additions to the NATO family. It also makes them a clear threat to Russia. We're still waiting for an official response from the Kremlin, but in the past, Moscow has warned these two countries. The Russian government has said that they should prepare for retaliation. They should be prepared. Finland shares a 1,340-kilometer-long border with Russia. Sweden does not share a land border with Russia, but Moscow maintains a military presence in the Baltic Sea, so there is a threat of an attack by Russia. Moscow has threatened to deploy more troops to the Baltics. Russian leaders are making grave threats. Former President Dmitry Medvedev has spoken out. He says Russia will secure its borders with nuclear weapons. I have that statement with me. This is what he said. In the event of such an expansion of NATO, the length of its land borders with Russia will more than double. We will have to strengthen these borders. The Baltic region's non-nuclear status will become a thing of the past. The group of land and naval forces in the northern sector will be seriously increased. So the signals are clear. Russia is in no mood to forgive Finland and Sweden. What about Turkey? That's in our next story.